Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review Anna. This movie is actually very surprising. At some point, I was like, okay, how are they going to have, like, a model, like, spy movie, and how am I going to find that really intriguing? But it comes to find out, like, the whole model thing is just the smallest part of this movie, and really, it covers a lot of action. And we give these kind of big moments and then have to like stop and then go back and kind of re-explain things. So I'm like, man, this movie takes a lot of effort to have to go back and do certain scenes and just kind of explain this film. So I thought that was rather good. There is a big scene in this movie that isn't in English. I realize that, but really probably 85, maybe more percent of this movie is in English. So like, yeah, so if you're kind of annoyed with there being like a subtitle part of this thing and our main character possibly being a model, like, again, it's not a big part of the film. And when I first watched this, I wasn't really sold on it at first, but then I'm like, okay, like, let's give this a second chance. And when I fully committed to this movie, I'm like, man, this movie's really good. It has quite a bit of good action in it. It goes on to remind me of movies like Atomic Blonde, or to possibly remind me of movies like the Uncle film with A Man Called Uncle with Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill, because we come to find out that Luke Evans' character, who is Alex, who is a KGB agent, and Lenny Miller, who is CLN Miller? CLN Miller, the guy that's also on the poster here. Or the picture here. We come to find out that he's a CIA agent. And so we come to find at some point that Anna is to be working with the KGB, and then is to also be a CIA agent. And we find that Anna is to go on and realize that one way or another, she's probably not going to live very long after the job of which that she is trying to pull off. So the further and further we go into this movie, I was like, all right, like, we have to explain like 3 different times what all is going on in this story. And so, yeah, so I thought it was so good. Where can you go on and see this film? Because really, I would state that you should go on and really check this out. Zelifonic, Zelivonic. If this app does no longer exist upon the Google Play Store, because it may not be on there forever, definitely figure out a way to Google search this and find the app. Or there, in fact, you can go through a number of old reviews that I've done through the time of which that I've been here, and you'll find a list of other apps that I've used over the time that I've been doing this at some point. So then you would probably have to use a Google search to probably find those as well. So with that said, in the very beginning of this film, we have these CIA objects, or CIA operatives, that get their cover blown. And I'm like, okay, like, why didn't they ever go back to that? And then we come to find out, like, we have to tell a whole story and then, like, figure out a way to get back to that. So, yeah, so there's certain things where they kind of do something and then they forget about it, and then they have to, like, explain why they forgot about it, because eventually they'll cover it in the film. So that might get annoyed for some people that they're doing that, but stories have to be told at some point. Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to go on into spoiler territory. When we get into spoilers, I'm going to try as heavily as possible to condense down the spoilers of this. So definitely, I would recommend checking out this film. I'm hoping that I can keep everything in line with the movie, but there is a lot of stuff to also talk about this film, so I might have to, like, pedal back to certain things, like, oh yeah, this happened too. Because I know that there is a lot of events that kind of happen in this film. and I didn't go through the usual route, which I was to kind of really just um, rattle everything off so easily from before certain reviews. So, with that said, I think it's about that time to just double five this bad boy up, because it's about that time, yet again, to of course go into spoiler time. Spoiler time, it's about that time I'm going to spoil this movie. So, at the very beginning of this film, we have all these agents that I've kind of just covered getting their covers blown. So, we start to see certain scientists that are to be grabbed by KGB agents, and they are trying to take certain chemicals, hoping that they would get killed off from this. We also have certain agents that are to go on and even tell Alex, who's Luke Evans' character, that she goes on to be like, "Hey, yeah, like I'm a U.S. agent." And he's like, "Oh, okay, come with me." So we start to have these people that are desperately running off to the U.S. Embassy to try to seek out an asylum, but quite often most of them probably won't get there. Yeah. So we find out that this whole team cover blown, and so we have one of the agents who go off to the head of the KGB, whose name is very long and I will probably mispronounce, called Vasiliv, as good as I can get it. And we have this character that is go on and tell this U.S. agent, can you go on and send a message to your superiors? And so she's like, yeah, I think I can do that. Come to find out, we then have Lenny Miller, who is played by Cillian Murphy. We have him going on to open this box. What's in the box, I ask you? Come to find out it's this U.S. agent's head. And so this guy kind of pedals back, Lenny, and is like, oh my god, like, they just killed one of my agents and sent their head to me. So it's like, alright, like, it's on. So we go from that, and so now we have a guy who is just kind of looking for models. And so this guy is kind of making his way through this shop, just kind of looking for this one girl, and come to find out that ends up being Anna. We'll find out later at some point of this story that this guy was like, man, like looking for models is just so difficult. Like, I can't go on and find the right height ones, or like I really like cannot go on and find like decent looking girls. And so the guy goes on and tells him like, well, hey, how about you go here and maybe you'll find what you're looking for. So Sammy finds Anna, and it's like, oh, okay, like, it seems like you're like the right girl for the job. Like, how about you go to this agency and they'll book you in things. So Sammy meets with Anna at this agency, and they talk to this girl who's a booker, and it's a girl named Dorothy. So Dorothy is to go on and is to take Anna to the place that where she's going to live with all these other girls. Like, some of them are even named Anna like she is. So we finally get Dorothy to take Anne to her actual room, or Anna, and come to find out she also takes her to the bathroom, where she immediately meets with this girl who is just kind of like, her legs are like wide open, she's brushing her teeth, and she's like, oh, hey, hi, all right. And so that girl ends up being, I believe her name is Maud, and she'll go on and kind of be her like girlfriend throughout this film, where they're kind of together. But then at some point, Anna just kind of loses interest in Maud at some point. So we have Anna that goes on to do her first gig, and we have Anna that's like, well, wait a minute, like, I thought I was going to get, like, trained into being a model, and Dorothy's like, no. like you're doing a trial by fire basically. You're going on and going into the shoot, and you'll learn as you do the shoot. And so she's like, okay, well that's not what I was told. So Anna immediately goes into the shoot, and we have Dorothy that goes on and notices that Anna has this cut on her arm. And Anna states like, well, like that was a mistake when I was young. And so Dorothy's like, oh yeah, all right, like, well, like we have those times in our lives. So Anna goes on to then uh, start to like get taken photos of by this photographer, and he's kind of upset with her, and he's kind of like, no, do this, no, twirl, do blah, 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 and all that garbage that normally you would hear every photographer, but like be happy, be sad, be angry, be be confused, I don't know. So we have Anna that goes on and is to put in all of these gowns on, and so she's like having her own little private place where she's getting like outfits being put on. So Anna then is, after this whole thing that she's doing, she then goes on to this kind of like get together with all these kind of rich guys. And so we have Anna that ends up getting introduced to a guy named Oleg. And so Oleg, will come to find, is to kind of the way he talks to Anna, it seems that there is to be this like instant like intrigue between the two of them, where we come to find out these two are to have a relationship together for 2 months. So we have Oleg and both Anna that are kind of making their way into Oleg's place, and like they're throwing themselves at one another, they're kissing, making out, and whatever. And so Oleg is like, well, hey, how about we finally just like, how about we make love? And Anna's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think. And Oleg's like, it's been 2 months. Like, I've been going on and like showing you off to all of my people. Like, I've really cemented that like we're an item, and so on. So like come on, like. And so Anne goes on, is like, well, you know what? I don't really know anything about you, Oleg. Like, I feel like we've been together for 2 months, and I just don't know anything about you. So Oleg goes on to let Anna know that he is to be in this kind of like black market business where he goes on and kind of sells these certain products like food or water and whatever. But then at some point also he is as well to sell guns to people. And so like Anna's like, oh wow, like that's all right. Like so, and Oleg is to tell Anna, it's like, well, yeah, I shouldn't even go on and tell you that, but I'm telling you that because that's how much I trust you. And I was like, all right, okay. So Anna is to tell Oleg, it's like, well, I'll go into the bathroom and I'll come back. And so Oleg's like, all right, okay. So Anna comes back from the bathroom, comes with a gun and a silencer, and pow pow. Oleg's dead. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? So yeah, come to find out now we have to backpedal 3 years ago. So we have Anna that is getting banged from behind by a guy named Peter just on their kitchen table. Peter is to go on and just be this guy. It's like, well, hey, like, was it good for you? Even though it wasn't. It's like, I know it was. I know it was good for you. So, after Anna's to go on and get banged from behind, she starts to enlist in the Navy. And Peter is, and I know this is not exactly how it's pronounced, but I'm going to pronounce it Peter anyways, because I know it's like Piotr, and it just sounds like Peter. I'm sorry for anybody that's going to say, oh no, it's pronounced this way. My bad. So, because it could be Piotr, but it's almost Peter. It really is. So, Peter is to tell Anna, it's like, well, hey, like, why are you enlisting in the Navy? Like, is what I'm giving you not good enough? And so he gets very upset. And Anna's like, no, 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 no. So the following bit of time, we have Anna that is to go on and go grocery shopping and get like certain kind of things for them to eat. And all of a sudden, Peter is to be driving by in this car, and Anna's like, "Where did you get this car from?" And Peter is like, "Well, like I got this for you." Like, doesn't really explain. So we have Peter that's like, "Well, hey, like how about you just come into the car?" And Anna's like, "Well, no, 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 no. Like, I'm just gonna walk." And he's like, "Well, it's a 20-minute walk. Like, how about you just like get in the car and we'll get there quicker." Anna gets in the car and realizes that Peter is not going home. And so she's like, "Where are you going?" And Peter is like, "Well, hey, I'm going to stop at the ATM." And Anna's like, "Well, you need to have an ATM card to go to the ATM. What are you doing?" So, come to find out, Peter and his men are to grab a man from the trunk and force him to give them money from his ATM card. And so they want like 4,000 and he doesn't have that kind of money, and so they try to get like 3,000, or and so like they're trying to get as much money as they can out of this ATM. So the more and more that this guy is to like it's to be more and more complicated, we all of a sudden start to realize that there are police cars like being who've made their way. And so Peter gets back in the car and is to just race off. We have Anna that goes on and is to remind Peter, it's like, "Well, hey, there's cops chasing us." And it's like, "Well, what do you think, I'm blind?" So, come to find out, the guy that is with Peter, as like Anna would go on, and the woman that's in the car, she goes on and like smashes her head in, into this car, and one of the guys go on and like dumps her out of the vehicle and just kind of drives off. So, we have the guy that goes on and starts to shoot these cops and shoots the car, and comes to find out one of the cop cars flip over, and so the other one kind of stopped where he is. So they get away, and so Peter is going on and telling Anna, like, "Hey, get everything ready, like we're gonna get out of here quickly." Like, so all of a sudden we find, as Anna is to kind of like sit down and like, "Whew, all right, like this was crazy," she all of a sudden realizes that Alex is in the room. And immediately, Alex, of course, is Luke Evans' character, the guy we see here. So Alex goes on and is to shoot Peter, and is to give Anna an option. So we have probably had Alex being like watching over this girl for a very long time, as well as kind of watching over this guy because he was gonna like pop him at some point. So Alex is to tell Anna, it's like, "Well, hey, you either come with me or like you get killed or arrested. So like you can become a KGB member." And so we have Alex, who is to know about Anna's parents because both of them had died. And so Alex is to know also quite a bit of information from Anna because she had enlisted in the Navy, and he found that enlistment bit of paperwork. So, come to find out, Anna's father was to also be in the Navy, hence why Anna enlisted. So, and they talk about like playing chess and so on and so forth. So, when Alex is kind of giving her this ultimatum, we have Anna that is to take a knife to her own wrist because she's like, "Well, like, you're not really giving me an option, so I'm going to give myself an option by slicing my wrist. That puts me in control." And so Alex talks to Anna. It's like, well, hey, like, thinking about your parents, like, would your parents want you to do something like this? Like, would your parents like think that you like should not go on and like deserve to continue to live and so on and so, like, really being very convincing at this point. So when Anna continues to talk to Alex, Anna then puts her hand over the wound, and Alex is like, yeah, I thought so. So Anna goes on to work with Alex at the KGB. So we have we have Anna who goes on to go through the training, and so Alex is to bring her to a woman named Olga, who we see here. So Olga goes on to look at Anna up and down. It's like, well, like, she's attractive, yeah, she's probably bangable, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that there's anything about her that really like tells me anything. And so like Alex is trying to tell Olga, it's like, well, she's really intelligent, she's this and that. So Olga's like, yeah, but that still doesn't really tell me anything. So Olga goes on and like recites this one phrase, and so Anna goes on and is to recite this whole like paragraph of a play, and Olga's like, oh, like you recited something from my favorite play, and Anna's like, yeah, of course I did, and Olga's like, well, how did you know that? And Anna's like, well, I work for the KGB, baby. And so Olga's like, all right, like, I like this woman. I like her moxie. All right. So Olga goes on and has Alex kind of leave the room. And so Olga goes on to have this story of why she now walks with a limp. So Anna is to kind of listen as Olga is to state that she went on to one of these missions where it was either that there were to be dogs on the mission that she was to be in, or there were to be traps for the wolves, or there was to be wolves or traps for them. So come to find out, when Olga went all through this mission, she ended up with a trap on her leg. And so she left this mission still with a trap upon her leg. And so what happened is when she came back from her mission, we have her superior that just kind of throws her this screwdriver and is to tell her like this one mantra that she like lives by for the rest of her time. And so Anna's to go on and be like, oh, okay, all right, like, okay. So Anna then goes on to have her be this model, and is to be this shop vendor, and then goes on to be this model. So it seems that they were to kind of manufacture Sammy making his way to Anna all along. And so when Sammy does pick her, it's like, all right. So we have like Anna, who is giving kind of the team kind of updates of this whole time of what's really going on here. So Anna was to set this whole thing up to make sure that she was to get to Oleg this whole time. So this was all the work to get to Oleg, but we have Anna that just continues to be a model, so that way she can keep kind of meeting these people and assassinating all of these kind of shady like characters for the KGB. So it's like, all right, like, that's pretty interesting how like, yeah, like this model is going to gain popularity and start to meet all these kind of like high end like people. And so I was like, all right, like, that really makes sense. So we have Anna that is to go on and like drag, not only like, or is to kill Oleg, but then she goes on and just pops off the security guard and like drags him into the hotel room, and then just kind of makes her way out of there. We also have this trial that Oleg was to force upon Anna, which I'll talk about now. So, as well as Anna was to, for that mission, she was to like go into a car that had Olga and Alex. Like, all right, like you finished your mission. But so, uh, let's just go on here. So Anna is to have this first trial mission, and so what happens is they give her this gun and they tell her her target, and so they park the car and they tell her like, okay, like you're gonna get 5 minutes, and if you're not back within those 5 minutes, like then we're gonna leave without you. So Anna goes into this place and it's this restaurant. So what happens is immediately Anna is to whip out her gun, and her gun has no bullets. And so Anna then goes on to need to kill people really with just her bare hands, or is to adapt to try and get guns from other people. And she has to kill a lot of guys to then finally get to the one man that she's supposed to assassinate. And so she does go on and get to him and kill him off. She ends up having to do it within 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes are to already pass. And so Olga is telling Alex, like, okay, let's get out of here. And Alex is like, well, hey, like, let's give her an extra minute. And Olga is like, well, why? And Alex is like, because killing and getting to this guy in 5 minutes is impossible. And Olga's like, well, okay, then we'll give her another minute. So Anna originally had come into this restaurant with this like fur coat and this kind of fur hat. And so the funny thing of it is after she goes on and assassinates all these people, she puts back on this fur coat that is now having blood on it, and is to have this fur hat. So by the time she finally gets out of there, the car drives away. And if only she would have been like just a minute earlier. So Anna comes back to Olga, and we have Olga that is to look at her watch and be like, well, hey, like, I told you that this mission should be like 5 minutes and you took 5 hours, because for her trying to get back here, yeah, that took a while. And so Anna's like, well, yeah, but I still got the job done. And Olga's like, well, yeah. So that's when they go on and have her go into the next mission, which of course is the whole like her getting to Oleg thing. So yeah, so that's how that all works out. So we have Anna that is to go on to like after this Oleg mission. She then ends up getting this other packet for this other bit of information. And so Alex calls Anna. It's like, well, hey, like, would you like to go to dinner? And Anna's like, well, I would love to, but like I'm very busy. Like Olga's kind of like slammed me with a bunch of information that I have to kind of learn. And Anna's like, well, rain check, and Alex is like, all right. So come to find out, that'll tell us that at some point Anna and Alex end up like just banging one another. It's what we find out in this film. Like they just go on and they meet up together, and they're just tearing one another's clothes off in this hotel room, and they're going after one another like animals. And so I just thought that was really interesting. This was really funny also. So we have Anna that is to go on to do this next mission after we have like a whole like montaging of her like killing a number of people at a certain point. So this big case that she's going on and doing, like she's really late for. So Anna goes on and is to have gotten like picked from a number of girls, and then Anna goes on to do this shoot with these three other girls, and come to find out this photographer ends up getting very uh like, hey girl, just continue to stand there while I'm just kind of off doing whatever I'm doing. And so the longer and longer that this photo shoot is taking, like hours over or an hour over what they should have, we finally just have Anna, who is just so upset with this photographer that she goes on and is to take this camera and is to break this guy's nose, and then goes on to like take pictures of this guy as he is to now be needing to do whatever she wants, like act like a tiger or a dog or whatever she wants, whatever Anna wants. And so after Anna gets away from him and his nose is more than likely broken, Anna then runs off to go on her mission. And so her like KGB guys are telling Anna, it's like, well, hey, like, you're an hour late. And Anna's like, yeah, I get that, but now I'm here, so let's go. So Anna is to kind of quickly read through this folder, this pamphlet. And so I think there might be a montaging going on of a number of people being killed after this, but either way, like, Anna's had to go on and kill a lot of people in this movie. So I'm trying to correct myself at a certain point, because there is a thing where they talk about, like, for the next like year, and they show like her like killing a lot of people in the next year. So let's correct myself. So Anna goes on to get this client who ends up being a guy named Württemberg. He's 49. He's a German diplomat. So we have Anna that goes on and does her usual, like, okay, she's basically a call girl. So, and the KGB has kind of set this up. So Anna goes in to this guy, and she ends up going off and kind of killing the people that she is supposed to kill, supposedly. And then Anna makes her way to Olga. It's like, all right, like, well, like, my job is done. And we start to see now, like, Anna is to have kind of just tears in her eyes. And Olga's like, well, hey, like, where is the index finger? And Anna's like, well, what are you talking about? And Olga's like, well, like, I need the index finger from that guy. Like, do you want another agent to go on and get the finger, or are you gonna get it? And so Anna's like, no, I will get it. So Anna goes back, gets the finger, and we just have Olga that's like, okay, like, you need to take a vacation. You need to take a week off. And so Anna goes on and takes a week vacation, and we'll find out that whole time, like, Anna really won't be having real time off, because Olga the whole time is kind of watching over her through cameras and whatever, but still. So we have, of course, Anna, who enjoyed her, like, week off so much so that she was to go on and give Olga this postcard. And Olga looks at it and she's like, oh, all right. So Anna then goes on to meet up with Alex, and that's, of course, where we see them kind of banging in this, like, janitor's closet. And so we have them both get ready, and so we have at one point where Anna was to have met the leader of KGB, who is Vasiliev, the guy who was in the early part of this movie. And So he had gone on and put a gun to her, and so when he was to do that, like that's when we start to see like Anna really starting to derail here, and they are all talking about how like this girl like after 5 years is like probably going to retire because most of the agents don't really live past 5 years or live that long when they're doing the KGB. So we have Vasilev that goes on to tell Anna, it's like, well, hey, like, I see from your record that, like, you like to play chess. It's like, well, would you like to play sometime? And Anna's like, sure, but not right now. So we have that time being met now. And so Anna goes on to play this thing of chess with Vasilev and Alex within the room. So we get to a point where it seems that Vasilev is to go and beat Anna in chess. And we find out that Anna's like, no, 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 checkmate. And it's like, all right. So Anna beats him. And then she goes on and beats him even more by shooting him in the head. And it's like, wait a minute, what? What's going on? So come to find out, in the mission where Anna had to go on and be with that German diplomat and was to have cut off his finger, that whole thing was actually a mission planted by the CIA to obtain Anna. So when Anna was going on and doing her thing, we all of a sudden have the CIA come in and be like, okay, like, and we have Lenny Murphy, or Lenny Miller, my bad. Lenny Miller comes in, he's the CIA, like head of CIA, and he's like, all right, like, I'm going to go on and I'm going to tell you, it's like, I know you're working with the KGB, but now you're going to go on and work for us as like a double agent. Because, like, it's all tied to now, like, this guy wanting to get back to the KGB by getting one of their operatives to work for them. So he doesn't, I don't think he goes on and states that like right away, but like the implication is really just there. The story eventually will get told. So Anna is to be forced into working with the CIA, and we consistently have Lenny who is to tell Anna, it's like, well, hey, like, I protect my people. And it's like, yeah, like, say that to the group of people that all died under your gun. Yeah, I protect my people. Bullshit. I just saw a whole team of people who got killed in the beginning of this movie because of you. So, how good are you, really? So, Anna now has to play double agent because she's forced to. And so, Anna comes back to that same room and is to tell the guys, like, hey, like, I need his finger. And they're like, what? And so they're like, okay. So they end up actually having to cut the guy's finger off. And I'm like, oh my god, like, that is just, like, really? For this whole mission, there was all this, like, plant-like thing? You still have to get this guy's finger? So yeah, so Anna then goes on and gives Olga this finger, and come to find out there's a whole, like, other layer of things that's going to happen much later on that I thought was just fascinating. So, now, Anna was to give Lenny a thing where it's like, well, yeah, like, I'll work for you for a whole year, and then I want to go on and, like, I want to leave. Like, I want to escape. And he's like, okay, like, where do you want to go? Do you want to go Vancouver? And so that's Canada. And Anna's like, no, 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 that's too cold. And so we have Lenny that's like, okay, where do you want to go then? And Anna's like, I want to go to Hawaii. And we have Lenny that's like, all right, okay. Come to find out, at some point we'll find when Anna goes to the vacation that Lenny had been in Hawaii himself and is to know like about like certain islands, which is the best one to live in, and so on and so forth. And like he calls it paradise, and yeah, it seemed that at one point that Anna had her dad like talk about Hawaii. So Anna goes on to her vacation, and the whole time she is like consistently in contact with Lenny. So while they're going on and getting hit by some guy, and Maud is just like, well, you better be a billionaire. When Maud kind of leaves, Anna kind of sneaks away to talk with Lenny in this closet and just kind of talk about information and so on and so forth. So we have at one point where Anna is to tell Lenny, it's like, well, hey, maybe at some point we're gonna have dinner together. And so, like, immediately I'm like, wait a minute, like, is Anna gonna go on and also end up being with Lenny and just kind of like making out with him? Come to find out that ends up happening also. I'm like, oh my god, all right. Like, we kind of like, eventually, like, the longer they've been together, like, we start to see that since Anna's not gonna have this possibility with Lenny to have that lunch, she's like, well, how about we just sleep together instead? So they end up falling for one another. So I was like, okay, all right, like Anna, like this is pretty awesome. So we have this interesting moment where Anna is to be with Maud, and Anna's not listening to a single thing that Maud is talking about. How like she's thinking like, well, man, like I think I can like build my own house soon, and like because my dad was a carpenter, and Anna's just like, I'm not listening to a single thing you're saying. And Maud is like, are you listening to me? And Anna's like, not a word. Like, I'm just like off on my own. And Maud's like, what's wrong with you? And so Maud just kind of walks off, and then just like Anna's looking at Lenny, just kind of eating his meal off in the distance. And so we all of a sudden have Olga, who is talking to Anna, as Olga is to know every bit of what Anna is doing, like while she's on vacation. So it's like, all right, so like, I guess there wasn't much of a mystery for Anna to have had this this moment that she thought was going to be on her own when it still feels like she's working. So Anna then comes back from vacation and is to go on and bang Alex in this janitor's room. And the whole point of that is so Anna could go on and get her gun from that janitor's room to assassinate the head of the KGB. And I was like, oh my god, all right. Like, so like every bit of this has some importance. So Anna goes on and assassinates the head of the KGB, and Alex is like, oh my god, like you're never gonna get out of here alive. And so Anna is to tell like Alex, like, hey, like get down on the ground. And so Anna goes on and gives Alex this medication for him to sleep. And so by the time Anna is to kind of put on Alex's guns and is to try to get the heck out of there, we have Anna that's scrambling, and the silent alarm is to get hit by Alex, as we consistently have Vasilyev's like secretary, who is getting these calls consistently about her boss, and she's consistently stating it's well, hey, like my boss is really busy, and then she keeps getting calls about it. And so she goes onto the office and realizes that, oh, like her boss is dead, and Alex is to hit this alarm. So immediately when Anne is thinking like, okay, like I'm gonna have these guns from behind me, and whenever these guys start coming at me, I'm just gonna start popping off. I'm just gonna start killing them. So really, like, so much about this has so many good action moments in it, and so many different kind of, especially when we get to that montage where there's just a bunch of random events happening. I think there's one even happening in like a train or something. But either way, so we have Anna that is to make her way like into the boiler room of this building to try and get out of here. And while this like kind of door is like slowly closing, Anna kind of sneaks under it. So we have Lenny that has his driver, and these soldiers are telling Anna or telling Lenny and his driver, it's like, well, hey, you need to get out of here. Like, this is not a place to park. And the guy's like, well, hey, like, I'm having a friend come out of this building in just a minute. And so by the time that Anna and these alarms are going off, we have this soldier that goes on and tells like Lenny to like get the heck out of here. So they finally are forced to just drive off. So after Anna is to successfully get out of this building, and we're like, okay, like did she go off to Hawaii? What happened? And so Lenny doesn't know, the KGB doesn't know, and so we have Anna that goes on and sends Lenny a message and tells him to meet her like in France, like at this certain like this certain place, yada yada yada, 2 p.m., blah blah blah, this certain day. Uh, Tells her to meet Monday the 14th, 2 p.m. in Paris, Parc Montier, snack bar, Anna. That's what she says exactly, with the ill pronouncing of what I would pronounce a French area. So Lenny meets Anna at this location, but it seems that also Alex is there. So Alex is to have his CIA agents, and he calls them all off because it's like, dude, you guys stick out like a sore thumb. Like, come on, like she'll know that like agents are here, because Anna was to hope that she was gonna get Lenny alone. So when Lenny gets to this spot and Alex is also there, Lenny has to start to look around, and he's like, okay, like I'm seeing a number of agents that are all over here also. Because I'm assuming Anna was to give Alex the exact same message. So when Anna finally does appear, she goes on and kisses Alex and then grabs his hand as Alex is to tell Anna, it's like, well, hey, you're never going to get out of here alive. And so Anna goes on and is to grab Alex and to bring uh, him over to meet up with Lenny, and then Anna kisses Lenny. And so she goes on and she is to come to bargain. Anna goes on and is to have gotten intel from Vasilev's laptop, and she had also gotten intel from Lenny's briefcase when she slept with him, or when she was with him at one point, and probably slept with him too. And so, excuse me. So Anna goes on and is to say, it's like, okay, like I have information on both of you, and so I'm gonna go on and hand the first copy of this, because I've gotten doubles, and if anything happens to me, I'm gonna have this be sent off to the press. And so Anna's trying to buy her freedom off, and so we have both Alex and we have both Lenny that are just like, well, like, how long do you really think that this will buy you? Like, Alex is stating, like, well, if anything, like, with the next, like, 6 months, like, all that information that was in that laptop is now going to be changed, and, like, I'm going to come after you then. And so Lenny's like, well, yeah, like, I'll see you in 6 months. And so Anna's like, well, hey, like, 6 months, that's fine. Because 6 months for me is going to be an eternity. Because all this girl has ever wanted is just freedom. So we have both Alex and Lenny that takes this deal, and I can't even believe that I've gone on to state most of what happens in this film by this point. I know there was a ton of stuff that I just kind of really slimmed down, but this is gonna just have to be good enough. So Anna is to walk off, realizing that she's a free woman, and Olga's like, no, 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 no. Like, this girl is not gonna get away with this. Olga starts to chase after Anna, and Olga goes from behind Anna and is to pop her a couple times in the chest when she, like, faces Olga, and it's like, well, hey, like, this is from the KGB, bitch. Pow. Anna falls over, and we're like, oh my god, Olga just killed Anna. This is crazy. Like, so we all of a sudden come to find out, like, they're, like, trying to get to the body, and Lenny is, like, scrambling to see where her body had fell, and is to want a camera that is to hopefully, like, show, like, Anna's face, to make sure it's her, to make sure she's dead. Come to find out, what happened is Anna had swapped with her double that we had seen from before. Because when Anna was to talk to Lenny the first time they met, and Anna was to have this alibi that she was waiting for Oleg down at this this waiting room or whatever, and come to find out, like, legitimately someone could buy that story because there could be a witness that saw this girl with this colored hair because she had a double. And so Anna used that story the first time she met Lenny and was convincing him that she didn't go on and kill Oleg, that she was just down in this place just kind of waiting for him, and he never showed. So she just left. And then Anna goes on and is to switch into a different wig, and she wears black hair. We even had Lenny at one point, who even knew that Anna had a double, because he remembered that Anna was to have her purse, like, the way she puts her purse into her hand is to always be the exact same way every single time. And if you have a double that doesn't do that same exact thing, that's like, aha, like, I knew that that was the real Anna the whole time. So, like, one little detail. So, Anna then goes on and has this body swap thing, and then she goes on to kind of switch out her clothes and is to go, like, underneath the sewer and so on and so forth, or underneath this kind of underground place, and come to find out her blonde hair was actually a wig. Like, she legit, like, her head was completely bald, and so now she puts on the ski cap and then just kind of walks off. It's like, yeah, that's got to be the perfect disguise, right? To just have Anna that now just, like, has this, like, bald head. It's like, man, that was quick. So Anna then is to walk off, and nobody knows it's her. So that's how she gets away. Because we come to find out that Oleg, or that Olga, I'm getting the names confused. Olga had been working with Anna that whole time, 6 months ago. So Olga had figured out that Anna had been arrested by the CIA, and that's why Anna lost her watch, because Anna had uh, marks of her being cuffed on her hands. And so Olga was to tell Anna, it's like, well, hey, like, tell me everything that the KGB is doing. And at some point, we even have Olga, who is kind of plotting with Anna to knock off uh, Vasilev. And, like, all of this was to kind of be planned. And so when Olga ends up taking over for Vasilev, we have her kind of look into this laptop, and so Anna is giving her this one final message of like, well, hey, like I know that we had planned this all together this whole entire time, and they go like 6 months back to kind of tell like how this was to all be set up the entire time. And so Anna goes on to have like videotape footage of Olga wanting her previous boss dead. So like Anna's like, well, yeah, like if you're ever gonna double cross me, like I know you, and like so yeah, so I'm gonna give you this footage right away, just convincing you that I will have something as a contingency plan. So like, don't come looking for me. So Olga is to have Anna's file, and she deletes Anna's file because she's the only one who is able to do so. And so Olga's like, all right, like I feel good about this. Like this girl's getting her freedom, she's getting what she wants. And so yeah, so come to find out, I'm sure the KGB is never going to go on and look for Anna, and I'm assuming at some point that the CIA is probably just going to like wrap this up that she is dead, unless there is to have ever been a sequel, which of course there shouldn't be. But anyways, that's got to be it. So with that said, I think I'm just going to go on and try to get out of here to make this video as short as possible. Let me know if there's any big moments that I did forget from all this, because I'm sure there was a lot to just uncover, and I kind of winged it. I didn't go on and just have every little bit of detail in certain parts and whichever. We also had Lenny that was to make his way to Anna's place and was to talk to Maud, and was to ask her, it's like, well, hey, have you talked to Anna? Like, have you heard anything? And Maud's like, no. And so we have Lenny that tells Maud, it's like, well, like, we're going to tap all your phones and everything like that, so, like, don't go anywhere. So, yeah, so Lenny, yeah, he realizes that this girl ends up becoming a ghost, and, like, there's no way to find her. So, yeah, so, with that said, we also just kind of end on like Anna, who is like playing chess with her father and so on and so forth. Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff that kind of wrap this up. So I'm going to just get out of here. So goodbye, everybody. Bye, buddy.